Ladies and gentlemen, this is the 12th and final round.
Right hand, Golovkin steps in and down he goes again. Unbelievable. Mayweather makes a pay. What a rookie mistake. A sensational left hook by De La Hoya.
It's facts. I'm the best. You know what I mean? Sometimes I don't want to believe it myself, but it's the truth. I'm the best. I'm going to show you how great I am.
From Southern California, this is the Last Round Podcast.
Episode 4, Mike. We had to redo that for all of our listeners out there because I messed up and I said episode 3 in the first time. But luckily, our team here, our glorious audio engineer Joel, caught it and made us do it over. So
good job, Joel.
Instead of 3, or actually episode 4. So 4th week here in the studio of the Last Round Podcast. Once again, I'm Danny Z, along with my co-host Shep from Newcastle, England. The English Transplant. I'm just going to start calling you. We're going to have to get you a shirt that says the English Transplant. Put your animation on that shirt. I'm telling you, marketability, man. Marketability. But long weekend of fights. I feel like we've been saying that a lot lately. I mean, with boxing, especially in Southern California, it always seems like it's a long weekend or week of fights.
You can't get too much of a good thing, Danny.
Yeah, that's true. I agree. I agree 100%. So Friday, you know, we had the ShowBox New Generation from Temecula, California, headlined by Devin Haney against, Juan Carlos Burgos. I think that's how you pronounce it. Over there in Temecula at the Pachanga Resort and Casino. Did you catch that fight, Mike?
Yeah, I didn't go, but watched it. It's kind of like an easy step up. But Devin Haney really kind of thought he was going to get him out of there because I thought it was actually through his own promotion. Was it not?
Yeah, it was. It was.
He's the youngest ever promoter.
I thought that was kind of an interesting statistic. I was like, that's a pretty good for the history books.
Because he's what, 19?
Yeah. I don't even think he's 20 or 21. Yeah, I think he's 19. Yeah.
Anyway, getting back to the fight, he won. I kind of thought he was going to get him out of there, but he didn't get him out of there. Headlining his own card. I think he wanted to make more of a statement. But he kind of cruised. He didn't really get out of like third gear. I'd like to see him step up a little bit more. He's got good pedigree come through as an amateur. He's 20 wins, 13 knockouts now. So, shouldn't be too long before he's going to go for one of those smaller world titles like a WBC Intercontinental or whatever route he decides to go down.
Right. I thought he looked good too. Honestly, I was talking with some people as the fight was leading up, and some of them were like, "Oh, I'm not too impressed with him," and they're like, hopefully on Friday he turns in a good performance. But I liked him. I was like, "Oh, I don't mind it." I mean, he's very young still. I mean, I know he's 20-0, and he still obviously has a long way to go in terms of his career. But you can't. I guess I understand you can criticize people and all that. Like, oh yeah, he's just kind of boring and this and that. But I mean, the kid's 19. He's 19 years old. And I thought he looked good on Friday.
You can see the old Floyd Mayweather shoulder roll from when Floyd used to train him in Vegas.
Oh, yeah.
He kind of has that Floyd style, just, the little Philly with the shoulder.
I mean, how can you not when you train with one of the best, or to a lot of people, arguably the best fighter of all time, you're going to take some pointers from a fighter like Floyd Mayweather. It doesn't matter who you are, even if you say, oh, no, I'm not going to take pointers. You're going to take something, whether it's business pointers, fighting pointers, anything. Why wouldn't you? If you got that guy in front of you and he's talking to you, not just about business, but about the sport, you're going to listen. You're going to listen.
It'd be silly not to.
Yeah. So, Devin Haney took the scorecards, unanimous decision, 100-90, and the other two were 97-93, obviously in favor of Haney. Like I said, he's only 19. He's got a long, long time still in the sport. Hopefully, God willing, he doesn't get hurt. Nothing too crazy happens. Of course, you're always going to get hurt in the ring. But we're talking about detrimental stuff. But I like him, man. I like him. I thought it was good that he fought out here, and I like that they fought in Temecula. I feel like Temecula is slowly trying to get some fights out here. And I think it's an Indian resort, so they kind of get away from the whole tax thing.
go.
tax evasion. I don't know. Uncle Sam always finds you.
That was a good reason to do
so
it.
there's always that point. So I understand. That's why they do Fantasy Springs. I think Fantasy Springs is also like an Indian reservation. So, you kind of get around the loophole. So over here in the United States, if you have an Indian reservation recognized, you have to be recognized by the U.S. government. Then, you get around the tax loophole and all that stuff. So over here in the States, for our listeners all over the world, especially across the pond, little inside baseball over here on the government side of things. But, moving on to Saturday, obviously me and you were there, the last round team. I don't know if any of you guys saw us there or not. We were, I think, obviously probably the two tallest guys in the room. At least I was. But it was a good card. It's a good card. We'll go into the co-main event. Golden Boy fights on Facebook Watch. In the co-main event, Romero Duno. Is it Duno or Duno? I don't know if it has the Spanish N. I don't know. I should have asked him, but I didn't. Whatever. But he obviously stopped Aviles. Ezequiel Aviles. I think that was it. I don't think it was Avila. I think it was Aviles. I thought it was an entertaining fight. He dropped him a few times. I honestly thought he was going to finish him. Especially after the first knockdown and the second knockdown. I thought he was going to stop. Did he stop him? Or was it a decision?
No, if you remember, the bell went and he hit him, and then the guy
fell
that's
what
ring.
It was. That's what it was. In the final, I think it was
the final punch.
Was it an 8-round fight? Or was it a 10-round fight? I think it was
it was an 8-rounder.
It was an 8-round fight. That's what it was. That's why I was confused. Because I remember, because he obviously knocked him down. He obviously had him taste the canvas a few times.
3 times?
3 times. And especially after the second one, I was like, okay, he's not going to survive. Man, he literally survived at the final second of the fight. You saw it was just like spaghetti. He just barely. I think it was a right hand. But I think after I asked Romero Duno after the fight, obviously he said he felt good in there and everything, and then he said, yeah, as soon as I knocked him down the first time, I thought, okay, I'm confident. I think I can do it. You got to give it to him because he literally survived until the final second. It was the final second. Literally got saved by the bell, and 10 more seconds that he would have dropped again. I don't think he was going to get up. I don't know. Whatever. I think it was still a strong performance for Duno. I think he's 18-0 now. I think. I'm not sure.
18-1.
18-1, and he's got what? How many knockouts? Because obviously he's got power.
14.
14, yeah. And out here in Southern California, we got, of course, Golden Boy is based out here. Obviously one of the more prominent promoters in the world. So we have a lot of access to their stable of young guys, especially being in this area. And if you remember, and a lot of fans out there who are hardcore boxing fans remember Christian Gonzalez, Chimpa Gonzalez. He was a fan favorite. Every time I went to his fights in downtown LA Fight Club or wherever he was at, he brought a big following. Mm-hmm. I remember he had a big following. He was becoming a draw, and they put him in there with Duno. I don't know if it was last year or the year before.
It was last year for the WBC Youth Intercontinental.
Yeah. And Duno, man, I don't know if you've seen the fight. It's on Golden Boy's YouTube channel, and the last time I saw it a couple months ago, it had just under 1 million views. It was 700,000-800,000 views.
Do you remember they were saying that Duno had 1 million people watching the fight?
Yeah, we talked about that right after. Yeah. After Duno got the win, of course they did the in-ring interview, and then the interviewer. If she's listening, I apologize. I forgot your name. So I don't remember her name, but she was very good. She did a great job. But she was interviewing him, asking him all the questions about the fight, how he felt, etc. And then she kind of said, "Oh yeah, millions. You got 1 million people or millions of people watching right now, or something from the Philippines or something." And
yeah, for the
Philippines. And I think you mentioned, you had a good point after, unless they had some type of contract with some TV deal or something in the Philippines, but it was on Facebook Watch.
Because there's only 12,000 when I was watching it through Facebook Watch.
Yeah, we of course we had our laptops right there in press row, and not only were we in front of the ring, but we had the Facebook Watch. We're lucky enough to have it there for the replays and the stats. And like you said, I think the highest it got to was 12,000. But the only thing I can think of is sometimes, certain internet sites are blocked in certain countries.
Communists.
So, I guess, yeah, maybe. But like you said, maybe Golden Boy or something struck some type of deal to get it to them. And I don't know, maybe they could be telling the truth. But obviously, we only went by what we were able to see in Facebook Watch. But I mean, obviously, Filipinos love boxing. People talk about like, Mexicans, Hispanics, and the Southern California Latino community talking, loving boxing. But Filipinos, the Filipino fan base and people love boxing just as much as the Hispanic fan base. They do.
You've got Manny Pacquiao.
Yeah, Pacquiao. And then you had Nonito Donaire when Donaire was killing it from like 2011 until 2014 or something like that.
Yeah.
Donaire was one of the best pound for pound fighters in the world at that time. So obviously, being a Filipino fighter, especially if you can fight and especially if you can knock people out, kind of like the Pacquiao rhythm, you're going to be able to sell tickets and have a good fan base of Filipinos, especially in the Philippines. So you never know. I mean, I know when she said 1 million people watching, we were like, what are you talking about? It could have been true. We don't know what's going on behind the scenes, but you never know. Duno could be huge over there. I haven't really researched it, and he could be. I wouldn't doubt it. But Duno obviously got him out of there. Well, it was a decision win, but it was as close to a knockout as you can get because it's a decision win on paper, but essentially he kind of stopped him.
10 seconds more.
Yeah, I that's one of those fights where it's just like, man, you know what? Like, we're going to categorize this as a KO because it wasn't. We're not going to give this guy just another win.
He didn't have to walk back to his corner. Duno sent him back with that last punch.
Yeah, it was just he pushed him he hit him so hard that he pushed him back to the corner. So,
he's a Freddie Roach fighter, right? Because wasn't Marvin Zamudio in his corner?
Oh, was he Zamudio?
Yeah.
You know what? I don't know. I didn't. Was he? I didn't even pay attention to that. I wish I would have noticed that.
Freddie Roach's assistant.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? I didn't even notice that.
I think he's a Freddie Roach fighter.
Oh wow. I wouldn't be surprised. Pacquiao wild card makes sense. But I like Duno. He really impressed me when I saw him against Gonzalez last year, and obviously they signed him and they're putting him on, and he obviously has power. He can do his thing. So, I asked him after if he obviously has a ways to go before he gets to the top echelon of. I think he fights at 135. So, on BoxRec, I saw that Felix Verdejo of Top Rank. I don't know if he's still with Top Rank, but he was kind of close to him in the rankings. Even though Verdejo's coming off a loss, I think. Verdejo, at least in the boxing circles, is still kind of a name in a sense. But I know that motorcycle accident that he had kind of really slowed down his career, like a lot actually. But I asked Duno about, what about finding somebody like Verdejo? You guys are kind of in the same ranking, kind of, and he was obviously a humble guy. He's kind of like Pacquiao. He's just, I'll find anybody. Give me a generic answer, but hey, he's obviously an entertaining fighter. So I'm pulling for him. I hope he eventually gets on the bigger cards, especially now that HBO's out of the boxing business and TV contracts are up for grabs for all these fighters and promoters in terms of deals and everything. So, we'll see. But what do you got? You got something?
Yeah, I was going to say, I thought of a good fight for them. It's Golden Boy v. Golden Boy, Filipino v. Filipino. And I think it's Freddie Roach v. Freddie Roach. So that might put a damper on it. Is Masito Hesta.
He fights at 135? He does?
Damn. Unless he's moved up. BoxRec have him at that.
Oh, damn. I wish I would have asked that.
Because they're both, he's 1 and Duno's 2 in the Philippines at that weight.
Damn, I wish I would have asked that. Yeah, you know what? Obviously, you got to think about it, especially when they're all in your two fighters, especially from the same country in your stable. I mean, I'm sure that's crossed their minds. Like, hey, I think we can put these guys against each other. It's Filipino against Filipino. I mean, it's a business. I understand. Actually, man, I wish I would have thought that when I was talking to him. Oh well, it's not a big deal. Whatever. But you know what? That's an intriguing matchup. We should push that on social media and just see what people think. Like, Hesta against Duno.
And if they're getting 1 million views, they say, for Duno against someone the Philippines don't know, Filipino v. Filipino, you're going to get millions upon millions.
Yeah, and then I think that'd be a great and you can. I think they can. You can draw a pretty solid crowd out here in Southern California too. Like, I mean, where would a matchup like that be hypothetically out here in LA? I mean, I think they could do what.
Forum be too big?
Yeah, I don't think the Forum would be
too big.
I mean, if they're going to be the co-main, the main event obviously has to be the attraction.
Yeah,
I think it'd be a good co-main at like.
Canelo's next fight?
No, you need a bigger co-main than that, like a Lemieux or something. But if they were like the third matchup leading up to the co-main of like a Canelo fight, I'd be cool with that. I mean, you can even do Fantasy Springs, but I think LA would be better because you got Filipino town historic Filipino town in LA. They got a big section of Filipinos where they live in that general area because you get like Chinatown and Little Tokyo and all that stuff. So I think it'd be better in LA because Fantasy Springs is obviously like 150 miles east of Los Angeles. So, if you keep it in Los Angeles, you're going to give the Filipino community an easier time to, want to go and get there. Like, oh yeah, it's only 20 minutes away or 30 minutes away, 15 minutes away instead of 2.5 hours or something. So that's a good matchup. I'm glad you brought that up because I didn't even think about that. It'd be
a great fight. They're both very game.
Yeah.
When Hester fought Linares, I thought like Hester actually took the first couple of rounds.
Right.
So I think that'd be a good fight.
Then that's a good transition talking about Hester fighting Linares, which Saturday's main event was obviously Jorge Linares' comeback fight from his earlier loss against Lomachenko this year. And I think we talked about it last week or the week before. Even though he lost to Lomachenko, like he fought hard. He knocked him down. He made Lomachenko. He looked human with that straight right. And in the back of my mind, people were talking to me after the fight, and a couple months after, saying, "Oh, I wonder if Linares can come back from that." I had a feeling after that fight, I was like, he can come back from that. Like that was still a strong performance. Like, yeah, he got stopped, and Lomachenko got him with a body shot, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was a tough loss, but Linares still fought hard. Like he still did what he can, and I thought it was like, obviously, like you can get blown out and look just average, or you can go down swinging and you'll lose, but like, hey, you put up a fight. Like I think he did well. And Saturday they put him up against Cotto. No, not that Miguel Cotto. Miguel Cotto's cousin, Abner Cotto. Completely different.
But Miguel was there.
But Miguel was there. He just didn't fight. He's retired. Let's see if he stays retired. But Abner Cotto, what was his record? 20-0? At that time.
I think he had a cup. 23-4.
23-4. So they fought at 140 actually. So this was Linares' first fight at 140 pounds, junior welterweight. Obviously, he moved up from 135 when he fought Lomachenko this last time. And, I think we were talking about it on the way there. Cotto was there. It was more of like the name. And then Miguel Cotto was there signing autographs, taking pictures with fans and everything. But I think everybody knew Linares was obviously a huge favorite to win. And that's exactly what he showed. I mean, he got him out of there in 3 rounds?
Yeah.
3 rounds?
He blew him out of there.
Just blew him out of there. I mean, and I think we had talked about when he connected with the first right hand that knocked him down. It was in the southwest corner, east corner. It was close. It was one of the corners closest to our side of the ring. He got him with essentially the same type of punch. It's that right hand. Linares with that right hand is just like, it's dangerous. Like I know people talk about like Wilder has that right hand. I mean, I think you have to start respecting Linares' right hand, like at that weight class, like just because obviously they're huge weight differences, but in terms of like, they say, oh, pound for pound best in the world. I mean, essentially when you talk about pound for pound best in the world, you're talking about like, okay, if this guy doesn't matter what weight division and he's in, he's pound for pound, that's essentially what that means. I'm talking about pound for pound in terms of that straight right hand. Linares is up there, with the best of them. That right hand is nasty. And I think when he landed it and he knocked him down, I think I told you, I was like, I knew, man, that right hand, That's the same punch that got Lomachenko. And if you can get a guy like Lomachenko, who obviously other people are going to go down to it, right?
Yeah, he sets them up well, Linares. Like, if you could see, like, in the first round, he kind of watched Cotto's, tried to see what Cotto was going to do to try and negate what Linares was going to do. So the first round, it was kind of like a feeling out round for Linares. Then that's it. In the second round, I think it was 40 seconds left. He caught him with that first right hand, and then obviously, the bell kind of saved him in the second, and then he came out for the third. And I think I read a statistic. When he finished him, he landed 18 out of 25 punches in the third to finish him. Then obviously you had that moment where he kind of caught him with a low blow. Mm-hmm. Cotto kind of turned to the referee, and the referee didn't do anything. Yeah, and then
Linares went after him.
Yeah, Linares just went after him and just blew him out of there.
I mean, I think you said that right after that, or when that round was over. I don't know if that was the round that ended everything, but you said like, well, obviously, like, he looked at the ref like, help me out here. Like, like, if you're really into a fight, like, I get it. If you like really get hit like bad, you're gonna go down. Because obviously the pain's gonna get you. But like, was he looking for a way out? Like, hey man, help me.
Yeah, or it seemed like it.
Or was he just over it? Like, I can't beat this guy. Like, then he saw that the ref wasn't helping him. And I think the ref was it Raul Caiz Sr.?
Yeah, it was actually. Yeah.
Right? It was Raul Caiz Sr. He looks at it, and then Caiz Sr. is just like, didn't do anything.
Get on with
and
it.
Linares kind of waited to see if something would happen, and he just charged at him. He's like, oh, and then he puts his hands up, and I don't know. Yeah, I think I'm sure there was a moment within those 3 rounds of the entire, fight from beginning to conclusion where Cotto realized, all right, this guy, I'm pretty sure it was after that right hand that knocked him down the first time. He's like, okay, this guy's, he's good. I mean, obviously he's good, but like, I think he realized, like, okay, this guy's good. Like, I got to figure it out here. But
he looked good at 140, Linares. His first fight at 140.
He did. Yeah. He did. I was impressed. I mean, obviously, the higher competition you fight in any weight class is gonna, of course, kind of separate you from the rest. But in terms of just watching him for the first time, and then especially him coming off a loss, it was obviously like interesting. Like, okay, let's see how this guy bounces back. I liked him. I thought he looked great. Multiple knockdowns. His right hand was still there. He looked good. He looked healthy. He's always in shape, like you said.
Yeah, he always comes in great shape.
He always comes in great shape. So I thought it was good. And then, obviously he talks after the fight. They stopped the fight, and it was weird when they stopped the fight. You can tell that everybody was still kind of confused because like they stopped the fight, and I was trying to figure out who stopped it. Was it Cotto's corner? Was it the doctor? Was it because I don't think it was the referee. I think it was the corner or the doctor. Because I was trying to look. Because I mean, obviously, we were there, and for like a good solid 30, 40 seconds after, it was kind of quiet because people were trying to figure out, oh, okay, was it stopped?
Yeah, it wasn't obvious.
Or was it like, is this just like a timeout? Because at first I was like, well, is it a timeout?
Yeah, has there been a foul?
Yeah, I honestly
didn't see.
Yeah, and then especially because everybody was quiet, like, well, what the hell's happening here? And, and then obviously like, after 30, 40 seconds, like, okay, well, they did give it to Linares. I assumed right away that I was like, okay, I think they stopped it. But, you don't hear the crowd reaction. You don't hear the bell. I think even the people at ringside, like the timekeeper and the person at the bell was probably like...
Because Linares kind of just walked to the neutral corner. He didn't,
that's why, because...
he didn't celebrate, did he? Like, oh, I've won. Referee stopped.
Yeah, because I honestly think he was confused too. He's like, okay, did I win? Because I think one of the commission guys, the California State Athletic Commission guys, was...
in the corner
and kind of holding him there. Like holding Linares in the corner, like, stay right here, stay right here. So I think at that point I was like, okay, well, is this a timeout or did he win? I mean, right away I assumed like, okay, they stopped it. But then as, the seconds went by, I was like, hey, it's kind of getting awkward here. What the hell's going on here?
Yeah.
But, obviously he won. It just took a couple seconds. I mean, I think they were just preoccupied with Cotto and how he was feeling because he was obviously, disrupted in terms of his balance and equilibrium. And I think they wanted to make sure that he was okay. And I think that's what kind of made everybody kind of on edge. Like, oh, okay, is he okay? Because I don't know. That's the only thing I can think of. I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, because his legs had gone. He looked like jelly, just kind of like shaking in the corner. But yeah, it was kind of confusing.
Right. But Linares obviously gave his post-fight interview in the ring after, and then he went to the back, and then obviously media stays there a little longer. But Linares came back out after the entire fans. Linares came back out after the entire fans exited the building. How security got them all out, but media gets to stay behind because sometimes the fighters come out and they talk to the press. So luckily, Linares came back out when the fans were cleared out of the building, and he talked to us media right there, and some of my colleagues, I believe is who asked him the questions? I'll remember when we come back and when we listen to it. But I think it was some of our colleagues at Pheno Boxing. I think they asked him a question, and then Francisco Salazar. I think he asked him a question, and then I asked him a question, and essentially all of these questions that we asked them in this media scrum, obviously he's comfortable speaking in Spanish, and he had his translator Gabriel Rivas of Golden Boy PR, which she's actually doing a pretty good job, and translating, because I know we were talking about he's
translate for Canelo.
Well, yeah, that was a big moment. Yeah. I'm sure he knows that was a big moment, because I don't know if you checked his Twitter page, but his banner is him translating for Canelo after the fight of Canelo Triple G. So
I would do the same thing.
Hey man, that's a moment. That's a moment. But it's huge though, because Eric Gomez and Robert Diaz of Golden Boy were usually the main translators, not just for other fighters, but especially Canelo. So that's shout out to Gabe. That's a big moment, man. That was a big moment. I was like, man, that's a big job. It's a big job. But obviously the questions that we asked Jorge Linares following the fight was that we asked him about the people obviously in that weight classification, Mikey Garcia and Lomachenko. And, I was able to actually ask him about Mikey, because he had said something about Lomachenko in terms of going back to the 135. Now that he's at 140. So I essentially asked him, hey, what? Because he kind of said, I only go down for Lomachenko. That's the only one. So I asked him, I was like, okay, well, if Mikey says, I'll fight you, but you have to come down to 135. So I asked him that, and this is what he said.
Did this fight, show that this is a new start of your career at 140 pounds, or would you go back to 135 pounds?
La única manera de que yo baje 135 es que se haga la revancha con Lomachenko. La única manera. Lo sacrifico y lo hago, y lo vuelvo a repetir. Sé cómo ganarle. Tengo cómo ganarle. Ahora que tengo mi esquina completa, le puedo ganar.
Look, the only fight I would go down to 135 for is if we can get the rematch with Lomachenko. That's the only way I would go down to 135. I would make the sacrifice, and I would make the weight. I've said it before. I know I can beat him. I have my full corner now. Everyone on my team, I know what it takes to beat him.
Linares, hace unos meses querías pelear con Mikey Garcia. Él ya peleó en las 140, bajó a las 135, pero si subiera a las 140 otra vez, ¿te gustaría pelear con él y seguir esa pelea?
Would you like to fight Mikey Garcia? He's fought at 140 pounds before. He's gone back to 135. Is that a fight that you would like to have?
Claro que sí, la verdad que Mikey Garcia sabe, la verdad que como siempre lo he dicho, y se lo he dicho a él porque a veces hablamos por mensaje de texto. Lo felicito porque es tremendo boxeador, es un excelente campeón, pero él sabe que podemos hacer esa pelea en cualquier momento. Cuando suena la campana ya somos rivales, así que él sabe cómo es este negocio, como lo sé yo, así que espero que se dé esa pelea porque sería un éxito.
Look, he knows me, and I know who he is, and we sometimes I text him before, and I congratulate him. I say, you're a great fighter, you're really good, but he knows that we can make this fight, and but he also knows how the business is. He knows how it is, and hopefully we can make that fight, because it would be a really excellent fight to make.
Jorge, you said that you would only go back down to 135 for Lomachenko, but if Mikey said, I'll fight you, but you have to come to 135, would you go back down for that?
Why not? Yo no tengo ningún problema de hacerlo, yo lo puedo hacer. Mira, la verdad que quiero las peleas grandes, como siempre lo he dicho, como lo dije anteriormente con Lomachenko. Ya estamos capacitados para esto. Esto fue un sabor, es un appetizer, como dicen, porque venimos con mucho más. Me preparé para un título mundial, porque no puedo perder mi tiempo. Sé quién soy, sé cómo entreno, ahora más que nunca, porque acabo de abrir mi propio gimnasio, que lo voy a inaugurar el próximo mes en Las Vegas, mi propia compañía, mi propia promotora, y eso es lo que más me tiene exciting. Así que ahora más que nunca tengo que seguir trabajando.
Would I drop down to 135 for Mikey? Why not? Of course I would drop down to 135. What I showed there tonight is an appetizer. This is an appetizer, as you all like to say. And at this point in my career, you know, I have the big fights. I prepare for this fight as if it were a world title fight. And I know that what I'm capable of, know what I can do to continue making these big fights.
All right. Well, as you can hear that from that, Jorge Linares said that he would only go back down for one fight, Lomachenko. Obviously, he wants that rematch. And obviously, Lomachenko is obviously becoming a huge draw. He's doing really well. You know, he's my pound for pound best in the world right now. And Linares still wants that rematch. And then, you know, we asked him about Mikey Garcia, if you fight him at 140. And he said, yeah, I want Mikey too. Obviously, Mikey and Lomachenko between 135 and 140 are the kingpins in terms of, you know, money fights and competition right now. And then, as you heard in that audio, I asked Linares, would you go back down for 135 if Mikey said that? Because you said you'd only go back for Lomachenko. And then he says, why not? Yeah, if Mikey says I'm down to fight you at 135, I'm gonna go back down. You know, like, and then he goes into his fight from this past Saturday night against Cotto. You know, this was an appetizer fight for me, which I thought was kind of funny. That was a pretty funny quote. Like, this is an appetizer. You know, like, is that, you know, looking at it from another perspective, is that an insult to your opponent? Like, you're an appetizer? But I thought it was kind of funny. So, you know, in the audio, obviously, you heard us laughing, crack some laughter out of that. So, but yeah, so obviously, he's only going to go back down to 135 for Mikey or Lomachenko. Because he's not going to go back down for anybody else. I mean, who else is at 135 that he can make that type of money with?
Yeah, there's no money fights at that weight for him. Did you see afterwards? I think it was the same. Was it yesterday that Lomachenko put a little video on Instagram of him finishing Linares, and then the quote was, "December 8th, we go again."
No way.
So,
I didn't see that. Hey, you know what? I wouldn't mind that. I'm actually glad that Lomachenko put that out there.
But isn't he fighting Pedraza?
When is that fight?
It's December, isn't it? That's what I didn't understand.
What? Is it December 8th?
Because he's mandated.
Yeah, I think that fight's already like been announced.
So I couldn't understand.
That's a unification bout, right?
So, but I mean, he gets Pedraza out the way. Mikey's chasing Errol.
Oh, but that is interesting though. Like, if he's fighting Pedraza, like, is he kind of saying like, "Hey, I'd rather fight you than Pedraza," even though it's a unification bout? Is that what he's saying?
It would make sense because we talk
about insults to fighters, calling them an appetizer, and now you're calling out another guy, who, when you're supposed to fight in that month against another guy. I don't know.
It would make sense though, because when you hear Vasyl Lomachenko talk, he's always talking kind of about just a legacy.
Yeah, he's big on that.
Like him fighting Pedraza, it's going to be a huge shock if Pedraza wins. Fighting Linares is more of a 50-50, more of a pick'em. The first fight was great. Yeah. So I'd love to see that one again.
You think Lomachenko's the type of guy, obviously, like him showing that he's down to fight. He fought Linares, you know, that was a top rank and Golden Boy partnership. And Lomachenko started at 126? Mm-hmm. Then he went 126, 130, now he's at 135. Obviously, he's showing the willingness, like, hey, I'm down to fight, go higher weight class and beat everybody, and, you know, beat Linares. He just beat Linares for his WBA title. Now he's going to fight Pedraza, who has the WBO 135 title, so that'll be a unification bout. Obviously, Lomachenko's a big favorite in that. But do you think Loma tells like Top Rank, like, hey man, like, I want to fight these guys. Like, I want to fight the best guys. Like, I feel like him and Mikey right now, are the two guys. And I mean, I would throw Wilder in there too, and even Triple G Canelo. But I feel like him and Mikey and Wilder are the closest in terms of like legacy. Like, I want to fight the best guys. I don't care who they are. Like, and they push for it because, you know, boxers always say that. Like, oh yeah, I'm gonna fight the best guys, or blah, blah, blah. Like, you always say that, and of course you know, they could mean it, but I'm sure there's some fighters more than others who behind the scenes, like the promoter tells them, oh, well, you're not going to make the money's not going to be there because we're going to have to split the profits, or no, we'll get to that. And then they kind of just try to push it to the side. And I feel like Lomachenko's at the point, obviously, where he's obviously a big enough star where he says, no, like, I want this fight. I want this fight. Like, I feel like he pushed for the Linares fight.
He doesn't come across as that sort of materialistic.
No, he doesn't.
Type of guy. I went up to Oxnard. I've been to his training camp, and he's kind of quiet, real humble. Doesn't really say a lot. Listens to his dad 100%. There's no fooling around in camp.
Nope. None.
He doesn't come in flash cars and jewelry and all that sort of stuff. So I would believe it. In a lot of his interviews, he even said that when he signed for Top Rank, he said, "Hey, I want to fight for a world title in my first or second fight." He didn't even discuss money. He was like, "The money will come because I'm going to be, I'm going to be a legend. I'm going to be that sort of guy. I'm going to go on to different weights."
And he did it. He's doing it actually.
Yeah, what's it? 12 fights.
But I mean, what helps him a lot? What helped him a lot? Start getting like a world title shot, like in his second or third fight.
Second fight.
His amateur career was what? I think he only lost once.
It's like something like crazy, like 396 wins and 1 loss, and then
ridiculous.
I think the guy that beat him, he went and beat him like 3 times.
Yeah. Afterwards, like he like got his revenge 3 times over.
Yeah, it was
and it's like, oh well, thanks. Like so that 1 loss is kind of like erased, but that's an insane record. So he came in as like obviously one of the best, if not the best amateur in the world at that time. So he told Top Rank, "Hey, give me a world title shot. First couple fights, you're gonna see what's up." And he's proven it so far, man. He's not done. So I feel like him and Mikey right now are the types of guys like, hey, I'm legacy fighter right now. Obviously, Mikey's said it, and then Lomachenko have said it. And I feel like they're competing against each other in terms of like, okay, who can do it the best? So obviously this guy's doing it. Because when Lomachenko made the fight with Linares, obviously Mikey was trying to get a fight with Linares or Lomachenko, and he's like, well, man. And so the next best option was Robert Easter Jr. unification fight. And Mikey made that fight. And Robert Easter's what, like 6 foot?
Yeah, that was a good fight. I went to that.
Yeah, it was a good fight. Yeah. It was a good fight. But I mean, like, in a sense, you can kind of sense the underlying competition between Lomachenko and Mikey in terms of legacy fighting, which I think is great. I'm all for it. And I think Linares is trying to get into that fold again, which is great because I like Linares, I like Lomachenko, I like Mikey.
Just so people know, Mikey's a 4-weight world champion. If he fights Errol Spence, he'll be going for a 5th weight.
That's insane.
Linares is currently a 3-weight, and then if he gets a title at 140, he'll join Mikey, Manny Pacquiao, Marquez.
You think Lomachenko? I don't know, man. Like, I mean,
the problem about Lomachenko is his size.
Yeah, he's a small guy.
Yeah,
and it's not an insult. No. We're talking about insults here. That's not an insult. He's great. He's a great fighter. But I mean, eventually, you're going to get it to a weight class where the guys are just too big and too powerful.
Yeah.
Like, and you might have more skill than them, but eventually the weight is just going to be too much. And
which is what might happen to Mikey against Errol Spence.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing with Mikey and Errol Spence. Yeah. Like, I get it. Mikey's just on a tear right now. He said like he wants the money fights. I understand. He wants to take care of them, that you get all the bigger checks. I understand. At the end of the day, you got to feed your family. It's a business. I completely understand. But it's like, man, like going up to 147 and fighting a guy like Spence. But I think we talked about it at the fight on Saturday. I think Mikey got a lot of confidence by beating Adrian Broner
convincingly.
Mm-hmm. Even though like he didn't knock him down, he didn't knock him out and stuff. But Broner's a heavy-handed guy. He's a big kid, and he's been at welterweight for a lot of fights now. Even though he hasn't really won any prominent fights at welterweight. I think they gave Mikey a lot of confidence because he fought Broner, and Broner's been in there with like Sean Porter. Who else did Broner fight at welterweight?
Jesse Vargas.
Well, Jesse Vargas recently. But I don't know. In terms of going back to the Mikey point, I feel like Mikey got a lot of confidence from that win against Broner, which I would too. I mean, Broner's a big kid, and he took his shots, and I thought, that match was intriguing to me leading up to it because I was like, Broner, regardless of what you think of him, he's obviously a bigger guy than Mikey. He's a heavy-handed guy.
Mikey started 4 divisions below that.
So that's why it was an intriguing fight. But Mikey beat him, and he took his shots, and he beat him convincingly. So, I think that gave Mikey a lot of confidence, especially when he fought Sergey Lipinets and he got the 140 title. You know, obviously it's a confidence builder. So I completely understand. That's why he was probably like, yeah, man, like I'll go up to welterweight too. Like, oh man, like so it might be like an adrenaline thing, but I honestly believe he thinks in his mind, like I could do it.
He told me. I was at his training camp.
Yeah.
And I asked him, and he said, yeah, I'm going out. It's for legacy. He's like, even Robert Garcia, his trainer, you know, his brother, and his dad had told him, he's like, I don't want Mikey to do it.
Right.
So I don't know whether Mikey's kind of thinking, you know what? I'm going to prove everybody wrong. I'm going to do it for my legacy. I'm going to be a 5-weight world champion. Yeah. And I'm going to prove my dad.
I think, it's admirable. It's admirable, but is it, you know, it's idiotic, you know?
Yeah.
But it's admirable. I understand. I understand what he's trying to do. He's trying to build a legacy. And because honestly, I think he's in a win-win situation in terms of, if you know, barring that he doesn't get extremely hurt by Errol Spence, because Errol Spence can hurt anybody at that weight class.
He's no joke.
And if somebody from the weight below comes up, like obviously it's gonna be worse. But even if he loses, whether he gets knocked out, or he loses by decision, or it's just really bad, I think he'd get a pass because of the confidence he had. Like people are gonna be like, hey, you know what? Like everybody expected this, but I respect him for even trying.
Yeah, like when Amir Khan fought Canelo.
Yeah, the same
like,
thing.
Hey, you know what? We thought this was gonna happen.
Yeah, and Khan even looked good in those first couple rounds. His speed, he was outworking him, but like Canelo was patient, got him to the body, and set him up for that overhand right. But you know, that's something we'll talk about later on. But
it's his though. If he loses, don't forget Mikey's still unbeaten.
But I think he said he's not afraid to lose, though. That's the thing. Like,
which is good.
But if he's going to lose to anybody for his first loss, an Errol Spence fight at the weight class above him, when Mikey started at what,
5 weight divisions below, so 140, 135, 130, 122.
122?
Mm-hmm.
Starting at 122 and going to 147? I mean, and you fight arguably the best welterweight at the moment. In Errol Spence, you know, like I said, I think it's a win-win for him. Like even if he knows, like he's gonna go in there and try to fight and do what he can. I believe that. But I think even if he loses real bad, he's probably gonna get more fans, especially if he looks good losing. Kind of like Linares against Lomachenko, and people are like, man, I respect him for even trying.
If I know it's kind of taking the weak link, but if I was Mikey, I'd be like, you know what, Errol Spence is too big, too powerful, too athletic. I want to go up to 147. I'm going to fight a bulldozer. I'm going to go for Sean Porter.
Oh,
he still gets that 5th weight division, but Mikey, in my eyes, he'll run rings around Sean Porter. If
you think so? I don't know.
Still,
well, maybe, but like I still think Sean Porter would. I don't know. I still think. Obviously, I think Errol Spence would beat him. Like, there's no doubt in my mind. But I still think Sean Porter would beat him too. I think he would even have an easier time with Sean Porter.
Me and you never agreed on anything.
Well, I thought it's true though. If we always agreed, it'd be boring. People wouldn't listen to us. So I still think Sean Porter would beat him at welterweight.
No, dude, come on.
I see what you're getting at in terms of
Mikey's not going to stand there.
I think it's more competitive if he fights Sean Porter. He has an easier chance to beat Sean Porter, and I like Sean Porter. I'm not saying that Sean Porter is an easy fighter. I'm just saying that in terms of Errol Spence, I mean. Errol Spence is, to me, the best welterweight in the world right now.
Yeah, I would.
He's the best welterweight in the world.
Yeah.
It was Thurman, but Thurman, you got to get your ass back in the ring, man. You know, come back out there and do your thing. But right now it's Errol Spence. Errol Spence is the welterweight king right now. But could be Crawford though eventually. But no, I think Sean Porter would still beat him. I think Sean Porter would still beat him.
I wish they're going to fight now. They're not going to fight, but I'd like to see that now. Now that we disagree.
You never know. They might be marketing this fight against Errol Spence and putting your attention over here, and then they throw Sean Porter at you against Mikey, or they throw...
Linares or Loma, I think would be more sensible for him.
I think Linares is more of a possibility against Mikey at 135 than Lomachenko is to get the rematch with Linares right now. I think Linares and Mikey fight before Linares gets a rematch with Lomachenko.
I'd like to see that.
Yeah, especially especially if now that obviously Linares, we go back to the HBO thing. I'm just as sad as anybody to see HBO out of the boxing game, because I think in terms of production, commentary team, I've always preferred them, and I love the production style 24/7. I was always a big fan of that.
Yeah,
I know people like Showtime and stuff. It's not that I don't like Showtime. HBO was just my thing. The production, how they put it on, it was just great. And it's sad to see them leave the boxing business. It sucks. But the silver lining is that all these fighters who were signed under HBO, even with Canelo and Triple G and Linares, they are now essentially free agents in terms of television contracts. So Linares, I think Golden Boy, there's still going to be some politics in the middle, but I think Golden Boy and Linares would have an easier time to make a fight with Mikey or even Lomachenko, but especially with Mikey, now that the television, Showtime, and HBO aren't going against each other. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, especially because Mikey says he's technically a free agent. He goes on a fight-by-fight basis. I mean, some people believe it, some people don't. I honestly think he signed with Showtime with Al Heyman.
It seems so.
It seems like that, but he maintains that no, I'm a free agent. I'm a fight-by-fight basis, and
earn with Hearn.
Earn with Hearn.
Get that DAZN money.
Eddie Hearn, get DAZN money, huh? But I think it's an easier time than it was like a year ago for a Linares Mikey fight to happen. So I think Linares gets a fight with Mikey. I think at 135 before he gets a rematch with Lomachenko. So I mean, what do you think? I think that's the logical path.
For me, Mikey should fight.
Because there's no money fights right now for Mikey.
I mean, the Linares fight was talked about for a while. I remember going to Mikey's camp for the Broner fight, and there was talk of him fighting Lomachenko at the time, and Robert Garcia and his dad, and even Mikey were kind of talking. They seemed pretty confident that they could take Lomachenko on, and there was that time that they met was in LA in the studio.
Yeah, I think it was ESPN.
And it was like there was a picture, and you could see them both sat next to each other.
Mikey was a lot. The size difference was deafening. It was big. Mikey's bigger than him.
Yeah,
but Linares was essentially bigger than Lomachenko, a bigger fighter than Lomachenko. And I mean, I don't know. I think the size difference is obviously a factor, but Lomachenko is obviously one of the only guys in the sport he's so good that he can still beat you. He still has a really good chance to beat you.
Yeah, so. I mean, you can't knock out what you can't touch.
Exactly.
He just gets in and out, off he goes.
Yeah, so, I mean, it is what it is. But, I think Linares gets a fight with Mikey before he gets a Lomachenko rematch. But who knows? We didn't think Linares and Lomachenko were going to go at it at 135 earlier this year, and look what happened. So, I'm excited for that weight class. But, between 135 and 140, those are the moneymakers right now, is Mikey, Lomachenko, and Linares. So...
just so the listeners know, this actually wasn't on the agenda to talk about. We've just spent 15, 20 minutes.
Hey, it's a big topic, though. That was obviously, that was essentially the most prominent, the Linares fight was the most prominent fight of the weekend because, going on to our next topic, there was a PBC card on Fox Sports 1 yesterday in Ontario, California at the Citizens Bank Arena, which was supposed to be headlined by Victor Ortiz and John Molina Jr., at welterweight, 147 pounds. And what happened? Victor Ortiz, allegedly, people, we don't really know what's going on here. I know it seems bad. I understand, but, it's allegedly, we got, I don't know. I'm the big, innocent until proven guilty. I don't, it looks bad. He was obviously accused of, an assault, rape.
Yeah, he was accused of, for people in England whose stuff he might not have heard, he was accused of rape back in March by a lady at some kind of party or something like that.
Right. And it came out last week.
Yeah, they kind of, I suppose the police have looked into it over these last few months and, they decided to put, I think, a warrant out for his arrest.
Right.
He handed himself in to Ventura County.
Yeah, Sheriff's Department, I think.
Sheriff's Department. Bailed himself out, $100,000 bail, I believe. So he was free to fight, I guess, if they were going to let him. But PBC, I suppose, did the right thing and called it off.
Right.
They called it off on the Tuesday, so they only had 4 or 5 days.
Are you sure it was Tuesday? I thought it was after that.
I think you texted me when I was at work.
I thought it was Thursday. I don't know. I thought it was way closer to fight day, but anyways, like I said, we don't know what's going on. Obviously that's unfortunate. And how it pans out, how it's going to pan out, it is what it is. But I honestly thought Molina was still going to fight. They were just going to put somebody else in there. Yeah. But they just completely scrapped that main event altogether, and they put Brandon Figueroa and was it Oscar Escandón as the main event. So obviously, in terms of name recognition, they're a little bit different. So
did you see what they did? Because the tickets didn't sell out.
Military,
all first responders, law enforcement got in for free. Damn. Just show up on the door, show your ID, and it was free.
Wow. Hey, I mean, you had to get butts in the seats. I mean, I don't think Al Heyman, they prepared for something like that. I mean, you don't want to prepare for something like that, that especially the week of the fight, 3-4 days leading up to it, it sucks. But, you have the venue already secured and you got to do what you got to do. But anyways, so that, you said that earlier that Molina and Brandon Rios are trying to go at it now, right?
Yeah, they were calling each other out on Instagram because the Victor Ortiz fight got scrapped, and I suppose they're not going to rearrange it, whilst obviously that stuff's going through. So,
right.
Brandon Rios and Molina were kind of going back to and fro on Instagram.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, hey, let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. I see how it all pans out. But and then we'll touch on what happened. I think it was today, right? The press conference between Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder. They got a little physical. Wilder pushed him, and then you got Tyson Fury with this whole charisma, and and then
Mac is back.
The Mac is back. The Gypsy King. And then he stopped. Then they stopped Didn't they say they stopped the press conference because I think I was reading on Twitter or online that they stopped the press conference because it got too physical, or I don't know. I think it was just publicity. But
yeah, Fury jumped out of his seat.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of funny. But
started saying, "Hey, let's spar. I want to feel your power."
Yeah,
Wilder
right there
up
on the stage.
Yeah, Wilder jumped up, and they were kind of going back and forth, and Tyson was there with his usual, "Oh, you big dosser,"
right?
And all that sort of stuff. It was funny.
But right before we wrap up the show here, Shep, this Thursday, I think it's the only fight this week. I think there's another Golden Boy card. It's on ESPN, right? This Thursday, October 4th, there's a Golden Boy Promotions card on ESPN, headlined by
Joshua Franco and Oscar Negrete.
And Oscar Negrete. That's actually a pretty intriguing fight.
Yeah.
For our fans like across the pond or anywhere else, those are two of the bigger fighters in the stable of Golden Boy. The up and comers. I mean, would you really call them up and comers? Essentially, are they past that?
I would say Franco is, because he's only 22 when Negrete is like a little bit older.
Yeah.
And he can't be an up and comer. He's had a world title fight.
Mm-hmm.
He fought obviously Ray Vargas a while ago. For our British fans who don't know, Ray Vargas beat him, quite convincingly. Negrete is kind of small for that weight division, and Ray Vargas is a giant in that weight division. I think he's at 5'11". So it should be a good fight. I've got me and Danny Z as usual are going opposite ways. He thinks Negrete is going to take it with his experience. I think Franco's going to take it. I think Franco is just a more skilled fighter. He's going to be hungry. He's still trying to make his way. He's not had a title fight, whereas Negrete has been there and kind of done it.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of seemed like Negrete kind of cashed out because he jumped from Fantasy Springs to a huge fight with Ray Vargas. Didn't really seem ready at the time, and if I know obviously you got to take your.
I think he still put up a decent fight though.
Yeah, he did okay, but I think he's kind of small and he was fighting a giant. It was literally David v Goliath, that fight.
Yeah, Vargas is ridiculous at 122. Yeah. But hey, he's got a world title, so and I do remember now. So that's Thursday on Golden Boy, and I think it's ESPN card, Negrete and Joshua Franco headlining this out here in Orange County, California, Costa Mesa. So if you're out in the area, check out that fight. I think tickets probably on sale, goldenboy.com, goldenboypromotions.com. I'm sure they have links on there. But Saturday, there's actually a WBA Super Bantamweight World Title fight. Danny Roman, WBA Super Bantamweight champion, against Gavin McDonnell. What do you think? I like Danny Roman.
See, I like Danny Roman. You know, I've met him, and you know, he's local. He's a local fighter. Thompson's Boxing, which is a local organization. Me and
I wouldn't even call him a local fighter anymore. He's fighting all over the world, Japan.
Yeah,
you know, he started locally and he built his name, and he's a world champ now. So he's international potentially. I mean, you know, he's in terms of fighting.
I think I'm going to go with McDonald.
Think so? I like McDonald. I do, and I don't know, man. That's a hard one.
I think the thing about Danny Roman is he's very methodical. You know, I think obviously his trainer Eddie. I think you know they get a game plan and they stick to it. You know, I give Danny Roman that he's very good. You know, he doesn't waste many punches. You know, it's very well thought out. His last win was Fuentes over in Texas on the Errol Spence undercard.
Was it?
I think so. Yeah, where he fought him and you know he looked okay. Just kind of came through with a.
Was it the same Moises Fuentes who fought Chocolatito?
I think it was a different one.
Oh gosh, of course
I'm sure it was Fuentes on the Errol Spence undercard.
Of course it is. I mean, I don't know. I like McDonald. I like Roman. You know what? I don't know who to pick. But just because me and you never agree, I'm going with Roman. So you got McDonald. I got Roman. But I like McDonald. I don't know. That's a tough one. Yeah, I'm going with Roman, so we can make it interesting here. And obviously the co-main is actually an IBF world light heavyweight title fight. Artur Beterbiev against Callum Johnson.
That's a good fight.
You know, two world title fights.
Yeah.
You know, so that's is that on DAZN?
Yeah, it's DAZN. It's Eddie Hearn.
Earn with Hearn, man.
Earn with Hearn. It's his first Matchroom USA card.
Yeah, Earn with Hearn, man. So hey, catch that. You know, subscribe to DAZN. I don't know how much it is monthly.
I subscribe. The first month is free, and then it's $9.99.
Hey, for the stuff that Hearn, you know, has planned, he's been putting out.
Yeah,
I think that's easily worth it. Easily worth it. And Jesse Vargas, former world champion at 147 pounds, is also on the card. He's fighting Thomas Delorme for the vacant WBC silver welterweight title. Jarrell Miller, heavyweight, is fighting Tomas Adamek. I feel like I haven't seen Adamek in a while. He was relevant like in 2009, 2010.
Yeah, that's one of those ones that people were going crazy about.
He's 53-5. He's 53-5. And
he's also about 53 years old.
Yeah, and he's still there. And then we got a future guest coming on, cousin of Floyd Mayweather Jr., Anthony Sims Jr. He's actually on the card too, and he's fighting Mario Aguilar. Anthony Sims is 15-0. He's undefeated. Mario Aguilar is 19-5. He fights at light heavyweight, right? Light heavyweight. So we've been in contact with him and his team, and he should be on the podcast soon. Is it
next week?
It's next week?
Yeah, he's here next week.
What a surprise! They don't even let me know what's going on around here.
He fights on Saturday, and then I'm sure he's flying back just for the podcast on for Monday.
Okay, thanks for coming out to the podcast right away, Anthony. We appreciate it. So he's coming out for the last round. So he's scheduled to be here next Monday. So hopefully, he makes it back on time, or he's not hurt or anything. So we're planning on having him in the studio next week. And see how, obviously, if he wins, he can talk about his win, what he wants to accomplish. We'll talk about Floyd Mayweather, obviously his family. So and we'll go for them. So shout out to Anthony Sims Jr. for agreeing to be on the podcast. Hopefully it comes next week. And good luck to him on his fight this Saturday. If he doesn't come next week, I'm sure we'll get him on eventually. Mm-hmm. But as of right now, he's supposed to come on next Saturday. And I don't know what else we got left this week, right? We're just going to have to wait until it pans out the next week. And then we got Anthony Sims next Monday, hopefully. And then, of course, we'll ask him his opinion on this week's fights. And then we'll talk about him, kind of go into there. And then
we've got a few guests lined up, but
yeah, we'll announce them as we get through. And if there's anybody you guys want us to try to get on who you want to hear about, tweet at us at the last round 12, or comment on our social media, or send us a direct message on Instagram or Twitter at the last round 12. And we'll see what we can do. We're going to try to get as many interesting people on the podcast as we can, and give you guys the best content every week, every Monday. And hopefully, whether you're listening to this on your drive home from work, your drive to work, or just in your house, or you have some earbuds in while you're running, however you're listening to it, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Audio Boom, however you're listening, computer, cell phone, whatever, mobile phone, we appreciate it. Drop us a review. Give us that 5-star ratings, 4-star ratings, whatever you feel that we need to improve on. Let us know. Because we obviously do this because we love the sport, and we want to give our boxing fans and our listeners something to listen to on the way to work. Because I listen to podcasts on the way to work or on the way home from work, and
you sat in that California traffic.
Yeah, California traffic. You're gonna need it. You're gonna need it. So once again, I'm Danny Z for the last round. My co-host Shep. What do you got?
If people are watching the fight next week and they watch Anthony Sims Jr., make sure you watch it on DAZN. If you've got any questions you want us to put forward to him, just send them on Twitter or Instagram, and we'll hit him up. We'll ask him the questions.
Yeah, and if you don't want to tweet us or put it out publicly on our Instagram at the last round 12 or Twitter, you can direct message us. On one of those two platforms, and we'll respond. Of course, we'll respond and we'll check it out. But once again, I'm Danny Z for Michael Shepard. This is the last round.
Thanks for supporting and listening to the show. Follow us at The Last Round 12 on social media. Rate, review, and subscribe. This is The Last Round